What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Jackal Gold Games, and in this video, I'm going to be ranking the Dead Rising protagonists from best to worst, that kind of list. Now I'm going to go from worst to best. That's usually how I always do my list. I go to the bottom all the way to the top. So I basically just took the main characters from all the games. I even threw in the main character from the movies, and I'm going to rank them in the order I see fit. So strictly just the protagonists, just the main playable characters. So on the lowest, from the worst going all the way to best, which is the number 4 spot, I'm gonna have Nick Ramos, who was the protagonist for Dead Rising 3. I think Nick Ramos is the worst protagonist we've had in the Dead Rising series. I think he really sucked as a main character. He was too much of a pussy, in my opinion. He was always trying to tell people that we should just calm down, man. I don't like the way he talks to Chuck Green at the end of Dead Rising 3 when Chuck's trying to look for his daughter. He says, I don't give a shit if Annie is your daughter or not. You're not taking her. I don't like his tone with Chuck. Chuck would have kicked his damn ass, and he's made to be an important character because he's one of the 50 kids that Carlito put the zombie virus in, even though his name wasn't even on the list. His character design sucks. Some of his scrapped designs looked better. I don't really care for his relationship with Katie when she's older. I think he's a terrible character. I didn't like him at all in Dead Rising 3. I just thought he sucked. He's not a good main character to play as, and I didn't care for him. I wouldn't care to see him return in the series, to be honest with you. So he's definitely the lowest, and I would say he's the only one on this list that I would consider just a really bad main character. Fuck Nick Ramos. The next one, we're going to start getting to the best spots. This is the third place. Chase. Now, Chase was the main character of Dead Rising Watchtower, Dead Rising Endgame. So I'm kind of just making my own rules up, to be honest, because I could have just went with the game protagonist, but I decided to throw in the other Dead Rising properties. So I threw in the movie protagonist because it would have been a much shorter list if I just went by the games. So yeah, Chase is in the third place. Chase from Dead Rising and Watchtower. I actually really liked Chase. I thought he was actually a pretty cool main character. I liked how he was, if I remember, he had good action scenes. Jesse Metcalf, I think, did a good job playing him in the movies. I always did remember his scene in the first movie where he's like stuck in the alleyway and he has to deal with the zombie cop and the zombie clown. That was a pretty intense scene. Now, the movies aren't really the greatest, to be honest with you, but I did like Chase. I thought he was pretty cool. And I wouldn't mind having him be a main character if they ever wanted to make a game with him where he's playable. I think that'd be pretty cool. I liked his character design. I liked the actor who played him. Did like him in the action scenes that was there. He was like if I remember, I think he worked for the news channel, and he was, getting involved in a zombie outbreak to see what's going on. He was trapped in the place in the first movie, and then the second film, I think he was gonna him and a group of friends were gonna break into the military compound, from what I remember. So he was about exposing stuff. So he was kind of like the journalist thing, like Frank was, but he wasn't quite a Frank West copy. And I think he was really cool. I like Chase, honestly, so he would be in my third place. I thought he was a pretty cool protagonist, honestly. I just wish the movies were a lot better. So the next spot is going to be number 2, which is Chuck Green. I actually really like Chuck Green. I think Chuck Green was a good addition to the Dead Rising series. I like the dynamic of him and his daughter doing everything he can for his daughter. I like the little stuff they did with his character and off the record psychopath Chuck. It's really cool. His voice actor is awesome. I think he has a great voice actor. I love his chemistry with Frank West and Case West. It's great. Love him in Case Zero. He's got a cool character design. He's a badass. I like his character a lot. He was fun to play as in Dead Rising 2 and Case West and Case Zero. He's also fun to use in co-op if you play sandbox mode and off the record. And he was really cool. It was cool to see him in Dead Rising 3, but he's kind of washed up and he looks kind of strange character design wise, and he was going to be in the canceled Dead Rising 5 game. There's even footage of it, but from what I remember, it didn't really look like Chuck Green, and that game just did not look Dead Rising at all. But Chuck Green is a cool character. I didn't have an issue with Chuck Green like other people did, where they felt like Frank was their favorite and they wanted Frank in part two, not Chuck, which is one of the reasons they made Off the Record. But I liked Chuck. There's some cool stuff like Him going up against TK was pretty cool. His back and forth with Sullivan at Dead Rising 2 that I really love. His interaction with certain psychopaths, especially Chef Antoine. I always laugh when he's interacting with Chef Antoine, as Chef Antoine is getting him confused. Like, I thought you were, here to review my food. And, Chuck's like, you got me mixed with someone else. And what's funny is Chuck looks like at the dish that Chef Antoine has on the table, and he's like, who the hell would want to eat this? And just the way he says it, it's just funny. It's very funny. I love it. It's like one of my favorite lines from Chuck Green. And yeah, he's just a really cool character. He's got a really cool character design as well. So, and he brought combo weapons in the series, So yeah, that's my number two spot, Chuck Green. Awesome character. And then at the top of the list, who I think would be the best protagonist all the way to the top is Frank West. Not so much his 4 version. Dead Rising 4, Frank West absolutely sucks. They butchered him. He had a different voice actor, which wasn't necessary. Terrence Rotolo was the best Frank West. I still haven't played the remaster slash remake of Dead Rising 1, so I'm not quite sure how that Frank West is. But Frank West is a really cool character in Dead Rising. His best version is definitely Dead Rising 1. He was a great character in that game. He had a really cool chemistry with Brad and Jesse and Otis and some cool back and forth with certain psychopaths and, Brock. And he had a really good voice actor. I liked his character design. I liked the fact that he was a photojournalist. You take pictures with him. It made him different than other main characters. He wasn't just a cop or a soldier. He was a photojournalist, which made him different than a lot of other main characters. He had some good humor to him, but he was also, he would take things serious and he did care about people. And he was a really cool character and definitely the best character of the Dead Rising series and the most iconic character. Just has a really cool character design, and he was really awesome. He was fun to play as. I liked him in Case West. He had great chemistry with Chuck Green. He was awesome in that. I like his chemistry with Isabella, which is really awesome as well. And I like how he'll react differently to certain psychopaths in Dead Rising 1. Feels bad for Cliff, but he doesn't feel bad for Joe, stuff like that. It was cool to have him off the record, to get like a what if Dead Rising 2, but with Frank West instead. That was cool to see. I don't like that Frank as much as Dead Rising 1 Frank because he's, kind of washed up. He's fat, and a lot of the clothes you wear don't look good on him. And just, I don't know. Something about Dead Rising 1 Frank just worked the best for me. I even think Case West I would put a little bit more over a Frank West version over off the record. But I don't mind him in off the record, but he absolutely sucks in Dead Rising 4. Now, I didn't mind the interpretation of Frank West in Dead Rising Watchtower that Rob Riggle played. I thought he did a pretty good job as Frank, but he didn't really have a lot to do besides just be on the news and give some humor and stuff. So, yeah, Frank West is definitely the best protagonist in the series, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's really it for this list of ranking the Dead Rising protagonists. To go over it again, at the lowest and the worst, put Nick Ramos, and then third place, the rest being best, is Chase from the movies. And then next is Chuck Green, and then Frank West is number one, is the best. So, yeah, let me know in the comments how you rank the protagonists of the Dead Rising games, if you want to include the movies as well. And let me know how you rank them. And yeah, that's it for this video. Peace out.